Well, hi guys, welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Midday Market Mood Check with me, Nandita Khemka. Looking at the current state of the markets, not looking all that great given the fact that we have snapped out of a two-day gaining streak. In fact, at open, we did, manage to reclaim that 19,200 mark briefly. But after that, we have kind of slipped into the red. Snapping that two-day string of gains. If you look at the broader end of the markets, they are holding up firm today. The picture was completely opposite yesterday when we saw the benchmark indices showing strength, but broader markets were kind of underperforming the benchmark indices. But today it's largely opposite of what was happening yesterday. So benchmarks have slipped into the red, but it's the broad end of the markets, that are holding up in trade today. If you look at the India VIX index, that's also jumped somewhere around 4% in today's session. IT, pharma, metals are among the top sectoral laggards today, but realty is one pocket that is extending gains. PSU banking pack is the other, pocket that is showing some bit of strength, even though the Nifty Bank index is trading with negative bias at the current juncture. Looking at the few gainers that we have in today's session, life insurers like SBI Life and HDFC Life are among the gainers. Asian Paints has managed to emerge as a top gainer on the Nifty. Dr. Reddy's and Tata Motors, mind you, Tata Motors was on the losing end yesterday. The company will be reporting its earnings this week, and ahead of that, the stock has managed to edge back into the green. What's not doing well? Sun Pharma. Numbers will be coming out this week, but it's the top Nifty laggard today, losing in excess of 3% in today's session. Aside of that, ONGC, Britannia, that also, mind you, reports its numbers this week. That's also on the losing end today. Infosys and Axis Bank are the other counters that are losing. Among the large caps, L&T will be in focus given the fact that the company will be reporting its numbers today. Profits are expected to jump over 20% on the back of strong order inflows. Mind you, in the second quarter, we saw a slew of order wins for L&T, be it from the Middle East, be it from companies like Saudi Aramco, be it from MMRDA. So we had a slew of order wins for L&T. In fact, even today we have news flow around L&T that the company has bagged orders worth 15,000 crore rupees for its hydrocarbon business. So this is one stock to watch out for. The numbers will be coming out in the second half of the day. And what could be a pain point for L&T would be the margin growth. EBITDA margin is likely to contract by 96 basis points to 10.5% on a YY basis. Aside of that, Bharti Airtel is the other one that will be reporting numbers. ARPUs are likely to, average revenue per user is likely to improve. Subscriber additions likely to be healthy, and double-digit revenue growth is what the street is expecting for Bharti Airtel. From the consumer space, we have Tata Consumer that will be reporting its numbers. Both volume as well as value growth are likely to be healthy for Tata Consumer. Margins could also expand on a low base when compared to last year. And lower raw material prices will be supporting the margins for Tata Consumer going forward. So that's about the large caps. Looking at the mid caps, quite a few movers and shakers there today. If you first take note of DLF, numbers are pretty strong yesterday, and Morgan Stanley has retained its overweight rating on the stock. Target price is at somewhere around 549 rupees per share. It says that, but Morgan Stanley has also cautioned that valuations at 50 times trailing PE implies that all the growth could be priced in for the near term. Aside of that, Vodafone Idea is another stock that's buzzing in trade. The company has said in a con call that it is hopeful of completing its promoter funding round of 2,000 crore rupees this quarter itself, and the fundraise, the hopes that the fundraise will conclude this quarter itself is something that has kept the counter buzzing. Even yesterday, it was among the top gainers on the Nifty 500 index. Aside of that, block deal in Inox Wind, 10% equity has exchanged hands at an average price of 210 rupees per share. Inox Wind Energy has sold its stake in the counter. In fact, CNBC TV 18 sources say that Inox Wind Energy has sold stake worth 600 crore rupees, and all the proceeds will be infused into Inox Wind, and it will be, in fact, the proceeds will be used to pare the debt burden. Amid the block deal, the Inox Wind share prices have tumbled over 7% in today's session. Aside of that, what's doing well is Pidilite. Goldman Sachs has upgraded the counter to buy from a sell. It expects a steady margin expansion for the company, and it also believes that the earnings downgrade cycle could be behind us when it comes to Pidilite. Aside of that, Blue Star, this stock is buzzing in trade. It has delivered a very strong set of numbers. Revenue growth has been stellar for this company, and it is reflecting in the stock prices as well. If you look at DCX Systems, this stock rallied as much as 15% in intraday trade today on the back of 100% spike in its profit growth for the second quarter. If you look at the other Nifty 500 gainers and losers, on the gaining end you have fertilizer stocks like Fact doing well. Piramal Pharma is another stock that rallied quite a bit in yesterday's session. It's extending those gains today as well. Triveni Turbine, Pidilite and Blue Star, which I mentioned, are among the top Nifty 500 gainers today. On the losing end, Siemens, Rainbow Child on the back of disappointing set of numbers. Supreme Industries and DCM Shriram also reported disappointing set of numbers, and that's why these stocks are on the losing end when it comes to the Nifty 500 index. Aside of that, in the second half, we'll be watching out for whether or not we manage to stage a rebound and end the day in the green, given the fact that in fact yesterday as well, we saw the markets gain momentum in the second half of the session. So today investors will be watching out for whether or not we can end the day in the green, because even though we have slipped into the red, 19,100 is where we are hovering around. So that's something that investors will take comfort from. And the Nifty, in fact the Sensex is also down just about 160 points or thereabouts. What's keeping investors cautious? Of course, the Fed Reserve policy outcome that will be declared tomorrow. Of course, the language of the U.S. Central Bank is something that will take center stage. Investors will be looking for clues as to what the central bank intends to do here on, even if it maintains a pause or maintains its interest rates, whether or not there is another rate hike in the system before it looks at cutting rates in the second half of the next year is something that investors will be watching out for, given the fact that the Fed has already indicated that rates will stay higher for longer. But investors will watch out for the language that the US Fed Chair Jerome Powell kind of adopts. Aside of that, if you look at the Asian markets, they were trading largely mixed. There was disappointing China manufacturing data, that stoked a sell-off when it comes to the Chinese markets. Even when you look at Nikkei, that managed to end the day with slim losses, given the fact it had rather trimmed its losses after Bank of Japan's interest rate decision, where they have they have hung on to the negative interest rates. In fact, they maintained interest rates at in the negative zone, but they have made some adjustments to the yield curve control, but that was also not as stringent as the street was expecting. The Bank of Japan had struck quite a dovish tone, which is why Japanese markets trimmed their losses. So, of course, what will set the stage or set the tone for the markets for the rest of the week will be the Fed Reserve policy, as well as some key earnings, in terms of Tata Motors, Sun Pharma, Britannia, etc., that will decide the course of how the markets behave over the next few days. But with that, we are done with this midday market mood check. Of course, we'll be back with closing bell at 3:30 p.m. So don't forget to join in at 3:30 p.m. But for now, it's a goodbye from me. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay tuned to Moneycontrol for all your other news and updates.